Hi guys, welcome back to this episode of the beautiful podcast / YouTube video.
Yep.
And today we're going to be talking about ethnic struggles and how that can lead to the development of BDD. As you can see, we got our ethnic clothing on. We're both Indian, if you didn't know.
It's okay.
We might stop. Why can't we keep that in?
Well, no. We'll edit these pauses out.
Okay, so
Are you
now
gonna keep that in?
we're gonna do an OOTD.
Okay, yeah, you want to? Okay. First up, I got this
Yeah.
from India. I got my Gymshark leggings.
Yeah.
And I got my Aeropostale buy one get three free socks.
Oh, okay. Okay, mine isn't as colorful. I got this from India.
Wow.
The pants, they match. They're also from India, and that's all. And I got a haircut if you guys didn't notice.
In case you wonder.
Okay. Now we're gonna get right into it.
Right into it. Can you put some of the bloopers?
What?
The bloopers at the end. Okay.
Wait, this doesn't help them with hearing anything.
No, it's just for us. It's just for us. Okay. I think ethnic pressures have a lot of value when it comes to BDD. I can't speak for every ethnicity, but for Indian Asian ethnicities, I know there's a lot of pressures when it comes to the beauty standards, which are very extreme.
Yeah.
I think in the eastern side of the world and over on the Asian side of the world, they emphasize Western beauty, so like skin color and the skinniest people in the world. And a lot of it can become unrealistic, and especially when you have that generational standards where it's not only your social media or like the movies that we watch from our ethnicity, but it's also our parents and our grandparents and the people above us who are kind of putting that standard onto you. It kind of becomes very controlling of your life, and often cases can cause BDD in a lot of people. I've seen it happen a lot in Indians, whether it be the body type or the skin color, whatever it is. Fair skin is very praised upon, whether that be, I know also in Asian culture in general, that's very popular, especially in like K-pop or whatever, like that type where fair skin is very praised and dark skin is very not praised. So it's important for us, I think, us to be aware, but also to be informed about how ethnicity can really control your appearance and how you see yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, and like I can't speak for other people, but I know like in India it is like, especially like, it is so common with what you were saying about like fair and dark skin.
Yep.
Like that, they really emphasize that a lot, and they don't put it lightly either. And I know there's like a lot of brands, like there's like a brand called Fair and Lovely, which is literally like, if you're dark, you're not beautiful, but that's not true.
Yeah.
It's just something that like we have kind of put together. And another reason is like, when you look at like Bollywood or like honestly like any form of any industry, like they don't really put out like different kinds of ethnic representation, different kind of features out there. So like we can't see them as beautiful because we've never actually like seen them being represented on TV, and these are the kind of things that are like glorifying our lives.
Yeah, and I think we've seen a lot of progress when it comes to the Western side, so Europeans and Americans, when it comes to diversity and shapes and in color in the media and whatever advertising. But I still think there's a kind of holdback, I guess, in a lot of other, like, I can only speak on Asian communities, but I assume it's probably in other communities as well, where they're not as modernized when it comes to representation of all people, and I think that can become very tolling on someone's appearance on themselves, and like very much influence their BDD and overall their body positivity of themselves. And I think it's important that not only like is that being changed, it's of course we see a lot of change happening in America, but I think there's a holdback when it comes to other countries, and it's not that we can change it that much, but just important that we can talk about it and understand that there's a lot of factors when it comes to BDD, and that's one that includes it.
I also feel like there's almost like counter activity going on too as well, because like if you go on TikTok and stuff, and sometimes I'll just be like scrolling through and I'll see a post and it's not meant to be like glorifying like eating disorders and body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
But that's what it comes off as across, because like people still have it built into their brains that like, oh, skinnier is better. And I'm not saying like that's the only form of body dysmorphia, but it's like, or like sometimes you'll see those ones that are like, oh, if you don't interact with this 3 times, this is what you're gonna have. And it's like an arch nose or something. Yeah. And that's kind of like, that's also like bringing us down, like with all the progress that we've made in the body positivity community.
And like also the trend with girl dinner, like I think it started as something cute, or as like, oh, girls like don't have like, like we just eat random things, but then it became like someone's like girl dinner, it's like a cube of cheese and like a pretzel. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shoot. And then people were trying to like outdo each other, and I was like, well, damn, like someone actually like can't, like it's hard for them to eat, and you're over here like praising it almost. Yeah. And it's like making it kind of like a living, when it's like, that's not true. Like, it's like for most people who don't suffer with eating disorder, like we're not eating like cheese and a pretzel for lunch.
And it's like, it's hard. So like when you say that, somebody out there's gonna get triggered.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, it's just there's a lot of like unsensitivity when it comes to media. I think TikTok's kind of, I don't know, they think they're doing body positivity, but I think some of these things, like these small little things, get out of hand. Like in the beginning it's wholesome and it's funny and it's whatever, but then eventually it's becoming just something wild, and you're like, oh, because like, yeah, like you said, someone out there is probably looking at that, it's like, damn, like they're like glorifying this, they're like making a joke about this, but this is like really my life, and they don't understand like how it feels like. I think it's important that there's more light shine on that too.
And I think another thing that really doesn't get enough attention is that, you know, body dysmorphia isn't just like too skinny or like too fat. Like that's just not what body dysmorphia is. And you can have body dysmorphia for like certain features of your face, whether you feel like your ears are too big, your nose is too small. Like that is all examples of body dysmorphia. And sometimes people try to like discredit like your own feelings, because it's like, oh, but you're not fat. But like that doesn't mean that you don't suffer internally because of how you feel about your features.
Yeah, and also like, I like how we're talking about skin color too. Like I think often body dysmorphia, like it's like you see your nose, it's like the way you perceive your nose is, let's say, like much bigger than the way like your friends are perceiving your nose, but because when you look in the mirror you see something different than what your friends are telling you, it causes that insecurity, that like immense insecurity, which is caused by dysmorphic disorder. And it's just, I think often, especially in the media, going back to the media thing, like body dysmorphia is like, ugh, like I think it's like girls who are like skinny and they're fit and they're over here like, oh, I feel so fat. But it's like, okay, yes, that could be a form of body dysmorphia, but there's also body dysmorphia where it's like someone has a mole on their hand and they're just really insecure about it and they think it consumes their life, but really it's not that big of a deal. But when they see it, they feel insecure, or it can be a little like dent or your nose. I think that's a common one. And I think men with BDD, it is, the statistic is 60% of people who suffer with BDD are women and 40% are men, which when I learned that I was like, wow, that's like a lot more than I thought. And talking to some of our friends at school and stuff, they say pretty much everyone who goes to the gym who is a man experiences BDD in some sense. And I think that was really insightful, because after researching more and more, I found that muscular dysmorphic disorder is extremely popular when it comes to men. And it's not just their body or skin and fit, but they are trying to live up to the standard of, whether it's the media or whatever it is that put that standard onto them, that men are supposed to be this muscular, like, beautiful body, not just skinny or fat, but they're supposed to be stronger. They're supposed to, like, fill in that role of what a man is to them. And I think that caused a lot of body dysmorphia in men. I think it's important that it's, again, the media that we were talking about, that body dysmorphia is really highlighted upon in women, and how important it is in women and body positivity in women, but we don't kind of see that same thing highlighted towards men, and how they can also go through insecurities just as much, and they still have standards, whether ethnic or TikTok or whatever it be, that they still have things like that they're trying to live up to and trying to change their body to become. And everyone goes with insecurities, whoever you are, and I think it's important that we highlight everyone and not just men or not just women, because when we highlight one type of person, like a woman, we really like discredit the work and the insecurities that men go through.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. I feel like we've made so much, well, I can't say so much, but we've made progress in body positivity for women, but we haven't necessarily made like as big of a dent in men's body positivity. And it's kind of like, I feel like that also has to do with representation, because like now we're starting to see like women of different shapes, different sizes, different colors in, you know, modeling gigs or like on TV, but you don't necessarily, all men are like kind of shown to be built the same, and that's just not how it is.
Yeah, especially, we talked about the modeling industry, I think in our last podcast, the last model of the year was a plus size woman of color, which is a huge step forward for just women and body positivity in the modeling industry. But when you look at men in the modeling industry, I feel like I'm only seeing like skinnier, really muscular, molded men when it comes to modeling or whatever it is. Like just in general, I think men are very perceived as perfect, and I don't think enough people talk about the standards they're put into.
And I also feel like, again, with what you were saying about going to the gym and working out, they're really susceptible to body dysmorphia. It's just not touched upon, and it's not spoken of, and it's mostly like stigmatization of society that kind of like has forced them to silently struggle.
Yeah.
And they don't get like the same. I don't have anything else to say. We touched on everything?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright. So
thank you guys so much for watching.
We'll see you next time
on Beautiful on the Instagram, podcast, Spotify, anywhere you watch your podcast. Not really, it's on Spotify.
Yeah.
And make sure to follow us on our social medias.
Hit
TikTok,
that post notification button.
Yep. Drop a comment, drop a like, leave us a review on Spotify. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thanks for listening.